My, oh my, how the tables, they have turned. And I do love the hypocrisy of the fraud Democrat Party. I mean, I eat it up. Really, it's good stuff. Good. Now, I was prepared. We're going to do a little guy with the cream puff hands and the no neck, the pumpkin on a beanbag Pritzker. I've got, I don't know, the little man impersonator in her 38 short suit bragging about dropping her kid off at school. I'll tell you, I love it. One big comedy act. But every once in a while, I'm questioned as to how I could possibly call a big win for Trump. And every once in a while, I have the opportunity to prove exactly what I mean. Now, I have said running on a Trump-light platform is the best Joe Biden can do. Because Trump, being the hybrid of the old Democrat and the new populist, is confusing the Democrat Party. They don't know what to do. But I've always also said it's no coincidence Democrat congressmen, Democrat senators, much like Joe Biden, support the very thing they say their party's against when it comes to foreign policy. You see, boys and girls, there's uber money being made. Uber. You go back, we just had September 11th. Since September 11th, 19 years ago, the trillions of dollars in corruption, profit, and skullduggery that's gone on, we don't even know the tip of the iceberg. But there's a lot of it. And every time any president, any politician speaks against it, it doesn't matter. Because when they're in their chambers, when the bags of Sacagawea, by the way, that's street talk for a bag of cash, when the Sacagawea is dropped off under the table, they step and fetch and vote every time to increase the spending. That's why these guys all have a rotating revolving door to all different kind of chicanery that goes on. That's why the American government turns a blind eye to trillion-dollar contracts. And if the light of reality is pointed on these companies, what do? They change their name. Ooh. Or they have subsidiaries, LLCs, like the Pritzker empire, where they're all just so many wrapped into a weave where they hope you get lost trying to look at them. But this is the one area of Trump that I have always liked. I have always liked his stance of questioning the status quo. I've always liked the idea. If you've listened to this show, you know I don't buy these Nixons of the Republican Party, these moron fraudster liars who try to wrap corporatism in a flag. I rip it apart each and every time. Whether it's Vietnam, whether it's Iraq, whether it's trillions and trillions of dollars, and not to mention the collateral damage that they don't seem to mind, the deaths and mayhem of our boys and girls. Now I got to say girls. Used to be boys, but I can adapt. Although I'm getting hard with Lori Lightfoot in the man suit, I can't adapt to that. But the other stuff I can adapt to. But Trump has been a threat to this establishment. Trump has been a big, big threat. And I want you to hear what I mean.
I'm not saying the military is in love with me. The soldiers are. The top people in the Pentagon probably aren't, because they want to do nothing but fight wars so that all of those wonderful companies that make the bombs and make the planes and make everything else stay happy.
President Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, said Tuesday that Trump's remarks were more directed at the so-called military-industrial complex. But it seems likely the already strained relations between President Trump and the higher-ups at the Pentagon will only further deteriorate. The Army's top general defended the military's leaders on Tuesday, saying they would only recommend sending American troops into combat as a last resort. NBC reported this week, citing senior Trump administration sources, that White House officials have talked to Veterans Affairs Secretary Robert Wilkie about possibly replacing Defense Secretary Mark Esper.
Now on 60 Minutes, Woodward came out and he said how that general with the lisp that gave himself the tough guy nickname, Mad Dog Mattis. Yeah, he's a mad dog, only when there's a pizza around. Mad Dog Mattis with the lisp, he doesn't like Trump because he wanted to pull out of Afghanistan. And he said, wait a minute. We've only been there for 19 years. We're only bombing people at a rate that we don't even want to talk about. As Barack Obama, this is my favorite part about Barack Obama. They don't want to talk about it. In 2016, bombed Iraq, Syria, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Libya, Yemen, Somalia. Dropped so many bombs, we had to get more. This is the Democrat, Joe Biden and Barack Obama. The greatest gift to corporatism, because he was able to sell that nonsense to his followers like devotees that they really are versus people who could think, as he expanded massively the military spending, the military atrocities on humanity, and all wrapped it up in quietness because he was a Democrat. But Biden, he's not as slick as Obama. He could only wish to be half of the car salesman that he is. See, Biden has to double track and double speak. So on Thursday, Biden said if elected, he might increase the military spending even beyond the Pentagon's current record budget of $738 billion a year. He said this on Thursday. Now, you know where I got this little tidbit? I didn't get it at Fox News. No. I didn't get it at CNN or MSNBC or anywhere else. You know where I got it? In one of the communist outlets, democracynow.org. You see, because I have said to you, he has lost the intelligentsia, the old-fashioned liberal who says, look it, you people are too stupid for your own freedom. See, that's what Pritzker does. He just doesn't have the elegance. You're too stupid for your own freedom. So we need people like us, like the Paul Krugmans of the world, like the J.B. Pritzkers and the sexual deviant freaks, Lori Lightfoot. They need to be in charge of running society, not you, them. So this is the old-fashioned theoretical Soviet. They wanted to do a nicer, more passionate, more kind tyranny, where they just use law to strip away your property. They don't just kick in your door like the old booters and take you off to the gulag. No. They want to convince you through intellect. And they're very aware that Joe Biden is just more of the same. And people want to rewrite history, and they want you to think that the Barack Obama administration was loved by the Democrat Party. That's not true. Joe Biden, the biggest knock against him back when Barack was running against him before he picked him as his stooge was that Joe Biden supported every war he ever got a vote in, because that's what Joe Biden did. So to see the Democrats of today act reminiscent in the George W. Bush tradition of shoot first and aim later, you almost have to laugh at it. As both the media, the old-fashioned liberals who said they were against and questioning every war since Vietnam on, all was part of a big ruse. Where are their loyalties now? Do you see the irony in this hypocrisy? Yet Joe Biden goes out on Thursday in what I'm sure was a prepared speech because he couldn't talk to his granddaughter without somebody writing it down, says he is going to take what used to be the biggest argument of the old Democrat. You remember when Bush was in office? Remember how mad they were when George Bush spent half of the $738 billion? By the way, that's exactly what it was. It was half. And now the Democrats from coast to coast, they have no problem as Joe Biden increases the military spending, keeps the troops not only where they are, but increases them. All those wars, they're going to shut up and take it. You have to love it as the Democrats of today turn into Republicans of yesteryear. It is sickening because this is what happens when you're so unmoored from principles, you let demigods tell you what you think. You understand what's going on here? It used to be even the old-time Oak Park liberals with their wives and their toenails sticking out with no nail polish on them, 350 pounds of fun-loving liberalism. They used to be against everything George Bush did, when the reality is he did half of what Barack Obama and Joe Biden did. The idea that the liberals are quiet, and this isn't the lead on any of these communist news networks, lets you know where the real bread is buttered. It's buttered on the Sacagawea, because for enough money, these old-fashioned Democrats turn into the Republicans like you can't believe. And that's another reason, if you're a principled person, you have to agree with the philosophy of what are our soldiers still doing around the world here. They don't even want you to know about it. How many people knew Somalia, Yemen, Libya, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Syria Just in 2016, they unloaded the warehouses with bombs, and that was a Democrat. See, the reality is Trump isn't getting credit for his foreign policy achievements. Now, I can't stomach the Saudis. I think they're rats, lying rats, making money the whole way to the bank, telling us they're our friends when they do atrocities to humanity that they should be ostracized from the planet, as far as I'm concerned. But in the meantime, he's getting these guys dressed in my old uncle's pizza parlor tablecloths to agree and sign peace treaties. Of course, they have to buy weapons from us. That's a whole other argument. But the reality is he's being shunned for achievements that Barack Obama and Joe Biden could have never done. And it's quietly being ignored. Why? Because they long for the good old days where the money flows, the airplane, the test planes, the trillions of dollars, the billions here. That's how Joe Biden is licking his chops. That's why they're not investigating the son. They're not investigating the brother, the sister. They're not even looking at Kamala Harris's. Does anybody know Kamala Harris's foreign stand? We all know how she feels about pedophiles. If you drop off a Sacagawea and you're the Catholic Church, then we don't prosecute the pedophiles, right? We all know how she feels, how she flip-flops on either education or prisons.
We run around with these signs, build more schools, less jails. Build more schools, less jails. And we walk around everywhere. Build more schools. We protest. Build more schools, less jails. Put money into education, not prisons. There's a fundamental problem with that approach, in my opinion. And it's this. I agree with that conceptually. But you have not addressed the reason I have 3 padlocks on my front door. There should be...
It's great. They talk out of both sides of their mouth with impunity. They could care less. This was the other day. This is after she wanted to have the fund for the criminals. Now she's against the criminals. It's time you start recognizing right is right and wrong is wrong. This isn't party stuff anymore. This is principles. And this is why on the principles of foreign policy, on the principles of law enforcement, on the principles of repercussion of law breakers, there's only one party. The other party's for sale. Which, hey, here's the good news. If Biden gets in, really ain't going to be that different from George W. Bush. Really ain't going to be that different. And you'll shut up and the Democrats will get paid off and the expansion will grow and the corporatism will thrive. That's the beauty of it. We'll be back with your phone calls. 312-642-5600.
In the final 100 days before the election, President Trump knew it was time to call in the closer to seal a victory. And the man he called was AM 560's Steve Cortes.
There is nobody that loves this country more than Steve Cortes. Steve.
Steve will return to the air after the election, right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Friends, it's Steve Cortes here. Let's talk about mortgages and the housing market. The housing market has been an incredible bright spot within the economic recovery of recent months as our country begins to rebuild, quite literally in the case of home construction, and rebuild overall in terms of our economic renaissance from the ravages of the coronavirus. It seems quite clear that the housing sector is one of the leading drivers of that recovery. A lot of incredible data lately, including in July, the biggest month for existing home sales ever. And that's on the back of, in June, one of the biggest housing starts months ever. If you are in the mortgage market right now, I suggest you go to UnitedFaithMortgage.com. They are wonderful people, family-run operation. They're a direct lender, which means often you can get your loan processed faster and sometimes at a better rate. UnitedFaithMortgage.com.
United Mortgage Corp, Melville, New York. NMLS number 1330. Ryan Vrecka, NMLS number 65233. For all licensing information, go to NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
I'm Doug McAllister, the proud owner of Douglas Automotive. Crazy times we are living through. With all the uncertainty of the next thing to be canceled or closed, one thing I do know is that Douglas Automotive is open for business and ready to serve you with honesty and integrity, today, tomorrow, and every weekday. Book an appointment online today at DouglasAutomotive.com. That's DouglasAutomotive.com.
Douglas Automotive has been the shop your neighbors trust for 27 years and counting. They guarantee 100% customer satisfaction by discussing all work up front and backing all parts and service with their 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty. Douglas Automotive proudly serves the northwest suburbs with locations in Crystal Lake, Barrington, and Fox River Grove. Let the honest ASE certified technicians at Douglas Automotive serve you. Go to douglasautomotive.com today.
Service with integrity, Douglas Automotive.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
I've always taken care of myself. I always cook my own food. I just was losing steam, which is very unusual for me. And I said, you know what? A lot of our foods, they don't have the nutrients they did 100 years ago. So I took a chance with Balance of Nature, and I see a difference. Before I took Balance of Nature, by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I found myself napping. Well, that's not happening anymore. I finally found something that's the real deal. And I'm just very happy with Balance of Nature.
Get a wide variety of all your daily recommended servings of whole fruits and vegetables without having to leave your home. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com today and use discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling. Yeah.
Song. It's been bothering me for a while, all these neocons. From Mitt Romney to the rest of them, how quick they go against every principle they said they had. I've always been disgusted at that. I've got a couple events coming up. I'm hoping to debate some of these guys. All of a sudden, it doesn't bother you. Everything you argued for, every principle of liberty, of rights of human life, of every principle of the system of our check and balance government, all of a sudden you're against all of it. And it bothered me. How could this be? And once again, follow the money. It's where the money is. See, there's big money, big money in this war game. And that's been a problem. And I really believe that's where it's always going to be, unfortunately. We are so numb to the idea of budgets for war tripling that we wrap it under a flag of patriotism. And that's a big problem when you are in 8 different countries and you have active military things going on and nobody can give you a good reason other than the war on terror. I'm still having a hard time with all this. And maybe it's the fact that we just celebrated what I think was the catalyst and the excuse for this. I do. There's no question it was a terrorist attack. It was a tragedy. But what happened after that is an atrocity to the country, our country. Our liberties shrank. Terrorists don't have any liberties. Our liberties shrank. Our budget exploded. When we were questioned, we were told, shut up. What, aren't you a patriot? Well, I'm sorry, I don't take that. I think it's patriotic to question these things. I think it's patriotic to bring this up. This has been the one thorn in the establishment's side since they heard the name Trump. Now, you don't have to like Trump, but you should at least recognize that. And all of the old people who, they were all the anti-war Democrats who hated George Bush and had to get him out, they shut their mouth when Barack Obama doubled things. And now, Joe Biden says he's going to increase even what Trump did for military spending. Not a peep. That just seems absurd to me. But maybe I should just stop talking about it and we'll just go away and the Republicans will pretend that it's okay and normal for these things to go on and that we shouldn't be standing on principles. We shouldn't have Congress declare wars anymore. You know, I mean, I've watched a certain amount of people from both parties be awful comfortable with a very few amount of people making decisions. To me, but I'm going to tell you something. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. That's Dan Proft. I'm not the best radio host. That's many other people. But I don't miss a trick. If we're in a room and somebody gives a look to somebody else, I know what it is. And I'm telling you right now, their biggest problem is they're losing the principled, pseudo-intellectual, intelligentsia socialist. They're losing them. Because when you see this publication in a socialist publication as a slam on Biden, he's losing the base. Candace, Mount Pleasant.
Hey, I agree with you, Sean. I'm so sick of all these stupid wars. I think they do it to try to destroy Americans, because it ruins the fathers die in the war, the mothers die as well, and it just degrades our society more. And I definitely think it was a terrorist attack, but I'm sorry, because of Building 5 or 7, whatever the heck it is, I still think it was a CIA job done.
Well, here's the thing that you could. Here's the thing you can say. Even if you let's give the attacks the right that they deserve, their own attention, and just say obviously it was a terrorist attack. They're Saudis. They were Saudis. I mean, what the hell do we make a left turn and go to Iraq for? I've never been comfortable. And this whole thing, whenever somebody in power tells you shut up and don't ask the question, what's wrong? Aren't you a patriot? That's when you know you're being swindled, Candace. And look at the trillions of dollars. We're never going to get that back. Not to mention, look what you've done to an entire generation of people. You know how many veterans we have that are lost souls now? We watched it happen in Vietnam. We watched it happen again now, and now we pretend there's a homeless problem. Well, I got news for you, Candace. I had an uncle that was devastated from that. He was never the same. You changed the trajectory of your nation when you allow this to happen. We should have had politicians fighting this, and I'm laughing all the way to the victory lap because Biden was lockstep with Bush, lockstep with Obama. Yep. I love the irony here. And then how about Woodward? Scumbag, Mr. 70s, Mr. 60s, the righteous liberal. I'm going to play a clip. Thank you for calling. I'm going to play a clip of Woodward. Listen to this scoundrel advocate for Mattis. Lisp Mattis, also known as Mad Dog, as all this son of a gun wants is a bigger budget and more bombs, and it's the more time he can pretend to be George S. Patton.
What was the reaction of Secretary of Defense Mattis, Intelligence Director Coates, when the president ordered troop withdrawals from Afghanistan, South Korea, Syria?
Now, the old liberal would have loved that Trump did that.
They fought him, and there are long scenes and meetings about, particularly Mattis saying on troops, we need allies. They're essential. You can't go through life without allies as individuals and as a country.
You quote Defense Secretary Mattis as calling the president's decision to withdraw U.S. forces from Syria as felony stupid.
Yes. What I quote Mattis in the book telling...
That's how you know, I got to go to break. That's how you know Mattis is the leaker. That's how you know, because he threatened Mattis's power, he threatened the money machine, and he threatened the authority of why are we even here 19 years later. The old liberals would have loved it. The new ones love now side with the military-industrial complex.
From AM 560 to the campaign trail, Steve Cortez is on special assignment with the Trump campaign. But don't worry, he'll be back after the election right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Envoy Global Incorporated seeks senior data warehouse and business intelligence developer in Chicago, Illinois, to design, develop, and maintain data warehouse and analytics architecture. Apply at jobpostingtoday.com, reference number 72520. Once again, Envoy Global Incorporated seeks senior data warehouse and business intelligence developer in Chicago, Illinois, to design, develop, and maintain data warehouse and analytics architecture. Apply at jobpostingtoday.com, reference number 72520.
We know that sometimes it might be difficult to hear AM 560, like when you drive under that bridge, or you get too close to power lines, or when you're surrounded by gigantic concrete and steel buildings, which is why we've made it easy to listen to us whenever you want, wherever you might be. We're always streaming at 560theanswer.com and on the AM 560 mobile app. You can also get us on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and we're on TuneIn, iHeart, and Radio.com. You can listen wherever and whenever to AM 560, The Answer.
Yep, it's that time of the year again. Halloween? No. Fall? No. Thanksgiving? No. No, it's the big decision time. This is when it's open enrollment for insurance. Whoopee! Tom Marabali, health insurance advocate and independent producer for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois and other major medical carriers, wants to let you know if you're over 50 and you're covered by the Affordable Care Act, you're paying for maternity coverage because it's so well thought out. In Illinois, the least expensive ACA PPO health insurance plan is $570 with a total out-of-pocket of $81.50. Boy, this Obamacare is a good deal. That's before they pay your bills at 100%. Sure they do. Tom can eliminate the mandatory maternity coverage. Well, that's good news. And lower your monthly payment $90 to $480 a month with a total out of pocket at $2,500. See, that's the big savings before your bills are paid at 100%. That's a savings of $5,600 in total out of pocket per person. That's how you lower your deductible. But first, you've got to call Tom for a free quote. 630-863-3477 or visit healthcareplan.com. Or I'm sorry, wait, I screwed that up. Visit healthplanchicago.com. See, he'd have got mad. Then he wouldn't want to pay for the commercial. This is a capitalist station. You're paying, Tom. That's Tom, 630-863-3477, healthplanchicago.com.
It's news, opinion, and insight at the speed of your life. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app and radio.com.
Investigating the Stone sentencing. Good afternoon. It's 74 degrees in Chicago at 5:30. On AM 560, The Answer. I'm Tom Beck. A government watchdog is looking into the sentencing of Roger Stone. NBC News reports the Office of Inspector General is investigating the Justice Department's involvement. In February, prosecutors said they were instructed to recommend softer punishment for the longtime friend of President Trump. Prosecutors had recommended 7 to 9 years in prison for lying to investigators and witness tampering. Instead, he got 40 months in prison. The president then commuted his sentence in July. Hurricane Sally is now a Category 2 storm. National Hurricane Center said the storm has winds of up to 100 miles an hour. Mississippi's governor said it's expected to make landfall early Wednesday. In Chicago, 54 people were shot, 12 of them fatally this past weekend. It was worse than Labor Day weekend when 8 people were shot to death, 48 were wounded. On AM 560, The Answer. I'm Tom Beck.
Get the best sleep of your life. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off during their holiday sale.
It's that time of year again. Time for Freedom Summit. And this year will be unlike any other. We're taking Freedom Summit north of the border. Join AM 560 for Freedom Summit 2020 on Saturday, October 31st at the Abbey Resort in the Lake Geneva region of Wisconsin. This year's lineup includes Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk, Larry Elder, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by AM Woodland Outdoor Design and by Best Dental Group of Bartlett.
Hearing loss happens. In fact, it's one of the most common health issues in the world. If you suffer from hearing loss, South Suburban Hearing Health Center can help. For over 20 years, their specialists have helped area residents improve their hearing and quality of life by providing hearing services and solutions designed to help you hear better in noisy places, hear phone conversations more clearly. They even offer solutions that are virtually invisible when worn.
Hi, I'm Dr. Terry Corsar O'Boyle, audiologist at South Suburban Hearing Health Centers. Staying healthy is more important now than ever, and that includes your hearing health. Hearing better is living better. Schedule a visit at one of our 4 convenient locations in Burr Ridge, Homer Glen, Mokina, and Crestwood.
Schedule your hearing consultation today. Call 708-966-4724 and ask about their digital award-winning technology hearing aids to receive $500 off your new pair. That's 708-966-4724 or visit southsuburbanhearing.com. That's southsuburbanhearing.com.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
In Marionette Park, there's a trailer on fire. Northbound Kedzie blocked off between 119th and Park Lane Drive. The northbound side of I-55, a parking lot from Route 47 on up to Gardner Road, where all lanes are blocked up to Reed Road. This is due to an earlier rolled-over semi-crash. The outbound side of the Eisenhower, bumper to bumper from Holman to First with a crash in the left lane. Circle on out to Wolf, 56 minutes. It's an hour and 8 on out to 390. Stevenson outbound jam solid from State to Damon with a stall in the right lane. Now Lakeshore Drive on out to 355 and 36. On the inbound side of the Bishop Ford, bumper to bumper 130th to 115 with a crash in the left lane there. East 8094, jam-packed from the Tri-State to Kennedy Avenue with an accident in the 2 left lanes. That's traffic. I'm Mary DeBanges on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Overnight, we'll see clear skies, low 58. Tuesday, sunny much of the time. It will be pleasantly warm with a high of 80. Tuesday night, clear skies, low 60. Wednesday, mostly sunny, very warm. Wednesday will reach a high of 83. I'm Drew Shannon on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Get Down to Business with Shalom Klein, the show for business powered by Mirabali Insurance. Sunday evenings at 6 on AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer.
Yes, for all of you people that love the 80s. I'm going to be joined by Julio Rosas. Julio is a senior writer for Town Hall. He's previously written for the Washington Examiner, Mediaite, Independent Journal. What did I do? Did I say his name? Julio. I'm sorry. He's also currently serving in the Marine Corps Reserves, which is the most impressive part of your resume as far as I'm concerned. How are you? Are you there, Julio? Hello?
Yes, hello.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. So you wrote a couple of pieces in Town Hall that I had to have you on for. The one major one that I find just astonishing is the Los Angeles sheriff deputies shot multiple times in a straight-out, walk-up-to-the-car ambush. Are you there?
Yes, hi, yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, it is quite a devastating attack. I mean, this is, unfortunately, we're seeing as, the anti-cop vitriol that's been spewed since late May. We're now starting to see where people are no longer just simply protesting and just throwing rocks, where now we're seeing cops being shot. Now, of course, it remains to be seen who the suspect is, as there's still a manhunt out for them, and whether or not they were, in fact, motivated by just the recent climate of hate that's been directed at law enforcement.
Are these two officers still alive? Because they were, last I checked, and it's a miracle when you really think about the fact he unloaded the gun on him, did he not?
Yes, so both officers are still alive. They're still recovering. Obviously, they have a long road to recovery, and in fact, Fox 11 reporter Bill McLugan, he shared a photo of the surveillance camera where it showed the female officer, who was a mother of a 6-year-old. She was shot in the jaw, and despite that injury, she was able to call in for radio help and apply first aid to the 24-year-old male officer or the sheriff's deputy. And they're still alive, thankfully. But like I said, they as lucky as they were, they do kind of have a long road to recovery because they were shot multiple times in only like the span of about 2 seconds.
Now, the one sheriff name is Alex Villanova. The other one is a woman, 31-year-old woman. This is obviously an attack on absolute authority, similar. Now, you're in the Marine Corps Reserves. Have you seen active duty?
No, I have not. I've spent my entire career in the reserves.
Okay, so to me, this is a war. And what the parallel I'm making is this is exactly what happens in third world countries. It's exactly what happens in the Middle East, where citizens are not, it's not an individual grievance. It's just an attack on anybody that represents law enforcement. I mean, I don't know how it's not categorized as insurrection and a terrorist movement.
Well, I mean, like I said, we have to see what the suspect, what exactly the motivations of that suspect was, but it's not hard to see that it was in part maybe because of all of the recent anti-cop rhetoric that we've seen. And actually, I can say I'm currently in Lancaster, Pennsylvania right now, where riots broke out last night because of an officer-involved shooting. Before the body camera footage was released, they said that a white cop shot a black man, and this is another case of police brutality. But the body camera showed that the officer was actually running away from the male suspect as the male suspect was chasing after him with a knife.
And he ran out of the door with that knife in a pair of orange shorts, white shirt, and black shoes, screaming like a lunatic. I mean, I think it was just. It was amazing. The cop ran. I'm amazed he just didn't shoot him when he came running at him. He gave him 15 times to drop the knife, and yet the riot broke out. You've got the kid in Tennessee, and I say kid, he's a sheriff. I think he was only 30 years old. 2 small kids shot in the face. This is all in the course of 48 hours. I mean, at what point do law enforcement or government itself say, listen, this has to come to an end. You're attacking the authorities. This is now an act of civil insurrection, and it's got to be squashed.
I mean, unfortunately, I don't think some leaders are at that mindset yet, because I mean, just today you had Senator Ed Markey of the New England area. He was saying that, again, he was perpetuating the myth that law enforcement in Portland repeatedly attacked quote-unquote peaceful protesters, and that's why tear gas needs to be banned nationwide. As someone who lives in Portland during the fighting at the courthouse, the federal courthouse, I can say that the officers only responded with tear gas and pepper spray and rubber bullets after giving the crowd multiple warnings to stop with what they were doing, which was attacking the courthouse. And obviously they ignored it, and so they had to put a stop to it because they were trying to tear down the fence as well. So, I mean, this is unfortunately, some elected officials on both the local and national level don't see it that way. And I think as a result of that, there's going to be, unfortunately, more bloodshed. And I hope that doesn't reach that point, but we've already seen people trying to kill officers.
There's a political aspect to this, Julio, that I think people are finally, I think the Democrats are understanding. The more that this goes on, the more it favors the Republican Party. Because the one thing is for certain, by the looks of things, it doesn't look like this is the Republican base causing this chaos. Is that fair to say?
Certainly not. I mean, of all the protests and riots that I've covered across the country, I mean, these are anarchists. These are, at the very least, very progressive liberals who are going out and causing, mayhem and destruction. But mostly they're anarchists. They hate America. It's not. I think it kind of gets a little muddied when everyone says, well, they're Joe Biden voters. That might be true. But from what I've seen, these are people who hate Republicans and Democrats because they view them as the same evil entity. And that evil entity is the United States of America. And so they want to overthrow that whole thing. So this is very much, they've been talking revolution for years. And this is really nothing new. I mean, to go back to the 60s and 70s. But this is kind of like the new generation of that, and they're taking full advantage of the defund the police movement, which is being perpetuated by Democrats, and filling that vacuum with just chaos and disorder.
And I'm listening to you talk, and it's reminiscent of the 60s, but there's one caveat. There's one major difference. In the 60s, the cops could put you down. In the 60s, there was our own Chicago, the barely literate Daily, basically ordered a shoot-to-kill order for Molotov cocktails. That's changed. So I really think to a certain extent, you're witnessing the collapse into some sort of dystopia that it appears they want. Because if you listen to the demands, I still am a little hazy. What is it? They just want bribery? Is it just extortion? What the hell do they want?
Well, like I said, I mean, at bare minimum, those that are taking out to the streets and across the country, at bare minimum, they want a complete abolishment of whatever police department that city that they're in. And then, as I mentioned before, you have the anarchists who want to take it to the next step and kind of use this as a stepping stone, I guess you could say, to just overthrow their local government and in turn the United States government. So, I mean, the people that are really taking kinetic action, whether through marching or through actually attacking police officers, like we saw yesterday here in Lancaster, they just want the police departments to go away, and then they view that as the first step to whatever other demands that they have, which is a very progressive agenda. If you look at the Seattle with Chaz, so they had, I believe, like 51 total demands, and the first one was the abolishment of the SPD, but then they had a whole slew of other ones that they wanted to implement.
Well, listen, we've had little pockets of America that have the suspension of police. It's not just Chaz. We've got the south side of Chicago. But I want to talk about that with you and more. Will you hold with me through the break?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. We'll be back with Julio Rojas after this.
Is on special assignment working on President Trump's re-election campaign. He'll be back after the election in November, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Since 1975, Starcase has been called upon to provide shipping cases for some of the most prestigious and innovative companies in the world. Apple, Nikon, Tektronix, GM, and even NASA and the U.S. military. While we've also built cases for smaller companies you've probably never heard of. And for them, getting their equipment to its destination without being damaged is a matter of survival. Fortune 500 or a first trade show for a fledgling company. They all know one thing. When it leaves their dock and it's out of their control, they can count on Star Case to get it there in one piece. The next time out, make sure it's in a Star Case. Star Case custom road, flight, and shipping cases made in the USA and ATA compliant to protect your valuable equipment. Go to starcase.com or call 800-822-STAR to customize your case.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
Your products are great, absolutely. General aches and pains I have because I work outside a lot, gone. It's almost magic. It's almost too good to be true, but it is. It's very true. Dr. Howard's done a fantastic service by creating this.
I work in healthcare, and I haven't gotten even a runny nose. I'm walking more, I'm exercising more, I'm doing more yoga. I'm pretty convinced that this is something to do with it. And you know what? I will never be without it because this was painless and easy. It's amazing. I'm telling you, it's amazing.
Get a wide variety of all your daily recommended servings of whole fruits and vegetables without having to leave your home. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 1-800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com today and use discount code CHICAGO.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Here's the president of the Illinois Chamber of Commerce, Todd Meisch, talking about the proposed income tax hike amendment on the November state ballot.
Springfield politicians already raised income taxes twice in the last decade. This tax hike amendment would let them increase taxes by billions more whenever they want, and a blank check to spend the money however they want, with no limits and no accountability. It would trigger a huge tax increase on thousands of small business owners and give Illinois the nation's second highest tax rate on large employers. The result would be more closed businesses, more lost jobs, and even more people leaving Illinois. The tax hike amendment is a bad idea at the worst possible time. Please stand with Illinois employers and vote no.
Learn more by visiting notaxhikeamendment.com. Paid for by the Coalition to Stop the Proposed Tax Hike Amendment.
AM 560, The Answer.
Julio Rosas, that means once I got your name right in the last 6 times I said it, Julio. I apologize. But listen, I wanted to, you were in Chaz. That's the last time we spoke. And it's insanity and chaos. And it is a third world nation where it was literally taken by force. People were extorted. It was hell on earth, or hell in America. I mean, that's the closest we're going to get to Venezuela is Chaz, right? In Chicago on the south side, this weekend, 44 people shot, 14 killed. These movements that hide behind race, that is simply the Trojan horse of the actual agenda, which is absolute Marxism. They don't give a rip about anybody who doesn't agree with them. And I'm going to say this because I actually have a dear friend of mine who happens to be a minority. He thinks this is outrageous. Now, granted, he's a successful man. He doesn't blame anybody or anything for his life. So don't you think they just took advantage of that character issue and are exploiting it to really promote Marxism?
I mean, it's kind of hard not to think that that's the case because, I mean, when you look at, again, point to Chaz, I mean, this was in a quote-unquote autonomous zone that was established to protect black lives from the brutality of the police. When murders started to happen shortly after its creation, the makeup of the victims were black men, and one was even a young man. When you just look at this whole defund the police movement, again, you're right. It's being used as a race issue, saying that the reason why we need to defund the police because they're specifically targeting minorities just because they're minorities. And when you look at how, I mean, the cities that have started to defund their police departments in various degrees, you're seeing crime rise. And again, when you see the makeup of the victims, whether they're alive, fortunate enough to make it out alive through other crime they experienced, or not, they're often made up of minorities. And so it's kind of an odd movement that when you're espousing that this is to protect minorities' lives, and then the end result of accomplishing even just a fraction of your goal is the deaths of more minorities or more minorities being victimized because of the lack of police presence. I mean, it's kind of hard to believe that they, really actually care about the lives of their fellow, their fellow minorities.
What I can't help but notice, being from Chicago, is they just seem to throw more money at the situation. I laugh every time. The neighborhoods that receive the most money are the worst neighborhoods in the state. The neighborhoods where the kids have the most money going for tuition are the worst schools in the state. I laugh. We educate our own kids in private school for literally 50% of what it costs the public school in Chicago, where the education standards are pathetic at best. And I'm wondering, you think there'll be a time, and I know I'm just asking you an opinion question, you think there will be a time when these facts matter?
I mean, I certainly hope they do it. I mean, at some point, but I mean, honestly, I'm not too optimistic, because if you just consider how Chicago and by effect the whole state of Illinois has been run for years under Democratic leadership. I would hope that they would point to it, but I mean, when the money flows in the control of one party in such so deeply entrenched like Illinois is, I'm not too optimistic about it. And even when we had a Republican governor, Bruce Rauner, and look how well that ended.
He was about as Republican as I am tall. But anyway, here's the other thing. You wrote another interesting article where you lambasted one of the second-generation communists that have destroyed New York in Cuomo. Tucker Carlson reveals more audio tapes. We've got about a minute. Could you give me a little insight quickly?
Yeah, so Tucker Carlson has somehow has gotten private conversations that was recorded by Michael Cohen, President Trump's former personal attorney, between him and Fredo of the Chris Cuomo outlet at CNN. And basically, in those recorded conversations, you see Cuomo coaching Cohen at an upcoming appearance on CNN for a different anchor on just what to expect on questions and how to handle it. It was related to the Stormy Daniels case. And so it was just very interesting to see that you have Cuomo really trying to coach Cohen to dodge and answer some of the more difficult questions. So, I mean, facts first apparently really matters at the end, but when it comes to authenticity, maybe not so much.
Well, I got to tell you, we're going to get caught by the music here, but there's one thing that always has fascinated me about the Michael Cohen case. It started out because he frauded documentation and cheated on taxes for a mobbed-up taxi company, and it's never talked about anymore. That's why I got you on, Julio Rosas. I'm expecting you to do a little investigative. See what I did? I threw it right on your lap. So the next time we talk, you investigate that. We'll be back. Thank you so much for joining me, Julio. I truly appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We'll be back after these messages.
In the final 100 days before the election, President Trump knew it was time to call in the closer to seal a victory. And the man he called was AM 560's Steve Cortes.
There is nobody that loves this country more than Steve Cortes. Steve
will return to the air after the election, right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, it's Steve Cortes. You all know how much I love MyPillow and how much it's changed how I sleep. So when Mike Lindell came out with a new mattress topper, I couldn't wait to try it. I have to say, I don't know if I love MyPillow or MyPillow mattress topper more. It's that good. Get ready for the best sleep of your life. Mike's exclusive 3-layer design includes Layer 1, MyPillow foam support. Layer 2, transitional foam to help relieve pressure points. Layer 3, ultra-soft, patented temperature-regulating cover. Comes with a 10-year warranty that's washable and dryable. It's made in the USA and backed by MyPillow's 60-day money-back guarantee. Get the total body support you need and better sleep you want. Right now, save 30% on MyPillow mattress toppers when you use the promo code STEVE or call 800-489-0201. When you do, you'll get 2 standard MyPillows for free. Again, the promo code is STEVE. Call 800-489-0201. promo code STEVE.
What happened to Carter Page should never happen to another American again. Page was a model citizen, a Naval Academy graduate, a successful businessman, and a cooperative source for U.S. intelligence services. But when Page became a supporter of Donald Trump, the FBI targeted him, spied on him, and persecuted him in a phony investigation. Now Carter Page is telling his story. In his compelling new book, Abuse and Power, Carter Page gives us the shocking details of being targeted by the Obama administration Justice Department, how he was kept under surveillance, and then finally vindicated. Abuse and Power by Carter Page is the story of a private citizen caught up in a politically motivated spying operation intended to frame him. The Democratic Party, the mainstream media, and their allies in the Justice Department and intelligence services lied and perverted justice in order to destroy a duly elected president. Abuse and Power, How an Innocent American Was Framed in an Attempted Coup Against the President, is the new book by Carter Page. Available now at Amazon and wherever books are sold.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hey all, this is Jim Carr, co-host of the #1 rated manufacturing podcast, Making Chips, and a customer of Signature Bank. If you're a crazy busy company owner like me, you know that success in business is all about relationships. While many banks call themselves a relationship bank, Signature knows how to do it right. They made the banking relationship easy and on my timeline. Their technology, coupled with the attention from my personal banker, made the transaction as effortless and seamless as possible. Much thanks to Signature Bank for supporting Car Machine and Tool when we needed it most. Bam.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Your company is having issues keeping up with business technology. There's a lot to know, and it's constantly evolving. Sure, technology is great and a necessity for running your business effectively, but staying ahead while managing your voice and data networks on your own can present its challenges. For you, there's ZAM Advisors. ZAM Advisors is a technology matchmaker that assists enterprise-level clients with selection and migration of services like your phone system, contact center, IT infrastructure, and applications, all to the cloud. Chicago-based with a national focus, ZAM Advisors currently maintains non-exclusive partnerships with over 100 industry-leading providers in the cloud space. Consultation services are done at no cost to you, and they'll look at all silos of your technology portfolio to assist in marrying the proper technology to need at a favorable return on investment. With a team that has a combined 120 years of experience in the IT technology space, servicing every major vertical market, they're ready to work for you. Visit zamadvisors.com for a consultation. ZAMM advisors.com.
It's news, opinion, insight. It's AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
So when we get back from top of the hour, I've got Curtis Ellis, Policy Director with American First Policies. He's the Senior Policy Advisor for Trump. We're going to be discussing how Biden can possibly run on a Trump-light message and not be called out by everybody after Fox News.
Touring the damage. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump in California this afternoon, getting a first-hand look at the devastating wildfires in the West. The president appearing with Governor Gavin Newsom as he pledged federal help for the state.
Together we'll keep the people safe. I want to thank the governor for the job he's done. We've had great coordination, great relationship. I know we come from different sides of the planet, but we actually have a very good relationship. Good man.
President Trump says lack of forest management is to blame for the fires, while Newsom told him he disagrees, saying climate change is real. The president also traveled to Arizona for a Latinos for Trump event, praising the ruling in Pennsylvania that COVID shutdowns implemented by that governor are unconstitutional. The president's November rival in his home state blasting the president's policy on climate change.
Former Vice President Joe Biden in Wilmington, Delaware, talking about the importance of climate change as a public policy issue for all Americans.
Hurricanes don't swerve to avoid red states or blue states. Wildfires don't skip towns that voted a certain way. The impacts of climate change don't pick and choose. That's because it's not a partisan phenomenon.
Biden condemned what he called President Trump's climate denial while calling him a climate arsonist, moments before the president arrived in wildfire-ravaged California. In Washington, John Decker, Fox News.
Hurricane Sally, now a dangerous Category 2 storm, and forecasters say it could make landfall as a major hurricane late tomorrow or Wednesday.
But what we know with a slow-moving storm, if one of those bands of rain settle over part of Louisiana, we know that flooding is going to be a big concern.
Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards, it'll be the second hurricane to hit Louisiana in just 3 weeks. America is listening to Fox News.
It's that time of year again. Time for Freedom Summit. And this year will be unlike any other. We're taking Freedom Summit north of the border. Join AM 560 for Freedom Summit 2020 on Saturday, October 31st at the Abbey Resort in the Lake Geneva region of Wisconsin. This year's lineup includes Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk, Larry Elder, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Illinois Concealed Carry Training Center and by Woodland Windows and Doors.
Friends, it's Steve Cortez here. Let's talk about mortgages and the housing market. The housing market has been an incredible bright spot within the economic recovery of recent months as our country begins to rebuild, quite literally in the case of home construction, and rebuild overall in terms of our economic renaissance from the ravages of the coronavirus. It seems quite clear that the housing sector is one of the leading drivers of that recovery. A lot of incredible data lately, including in July, the biggest month for existing home sales ever. And that's on the back of, in June, one of the biggest housing starts months ever. If you are in the mortgage market right now, I suggest you go to UnitedFaithMortgage.com. They are wonderful people, family-run operation. They're a direct lender, which means often you can get your loan processed faster and sometimes at a better rate. UnitedFaithMortgage.com.
United Mortgage Corp, Melville, New York. NMLS number 1330. Ryan Vrecka, NMLS number 65233. For all licensing information, go to NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Hi, this is Jay Farner, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. We can help guide you to those right decisions now, when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so when you call 8338-ROCKET or visit us at rocketmortgage.com to start your refinance, you'll be well on your way to saving money every month. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.375%, APR 3.59%. Right now could be a great time for you to take some positive financial steps forward with a cash-out refinance from Rocket Mortgage, which could give you the boost that you're looking for. In addition, we may be able to help you refinance with little or no out-of-pocket costs. At Rocket Mortgage, we're committed to every client, every time, no exceptions, no excuses, giving you the best mortgage experience. Call us today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Rates subject to change. Pay 1.875% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Don't miss Lowe's Just for Pros event through September 25th. Get in on innovative products from Metabo, HPT, and Spyder through virtual demos and live chats. Plus, get deals in store and on Lowe's4Pros.com. U.S. only.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer. From the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Making your way northbound on I-55, it's an absolute parking lot from Route 47 on up to Gardner Road, where all lanes are blocked on up to Reed Road. Now, this is all due to an earlier rolled-over semi-crash that damaged the median wall. Headed east, 8094 jam-packed from the Tri-State to Kennedy Avenue. Residual delays from an earlier accident there. In Marionette Park, a trailer's on fire, closing down northbound Kedzie Avenue, right at 119th Street. Kennedy outbound O'Hare, 24 minutes, inbound at 32. Now, if you're headed out on the bumper-to-bumper California to Des Plaines Avenue, circle on out to 390 in 50 minutes. That's traffic. I'm Mary DeBantis on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Clear skies expected overnight with an overnight low of 58. It'll be sunny much of the time on Tuesday, pleasantly warm with a high of 80. Clear skies Tuesday night with a low of 60. Mostly sunny Wednesday, very warm, the high 83. I'm Drew Shannon on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Alpha Wealth Group, bringing the trilogy of estate, tax, and investment planning together. Visit alphawealthgroup.com for a free report.
Steve Cortez is on special assignment with the Trump re-election campaign. While he's away, filling in for Steve is Sean Thompson.
We are back. We've got Curtis Ellis. Curtis is the policy director with American First Policy. He was also senior policy advisor to Donald Trump during the presidential campaign of 2016. He's like Steve Cortez, only just not quite as well dressed. How are you, Curtis?
Very good. I'm getting dressed so
All
I
right.
can be on this show.
Listen.
I'm getting well dressed so I can be on this show.
The key is a vest with lapels. That's the Steve Cortez trick. He kind of marries it all together. It's wonderful. You'll love it.
Yay.
So your article, it's not a conspiracy if it's out in the open. Why do you think
That's right.
Do you think it's shocking to watch the Democrats run on Trump light policies? I mean, if you listen to them, they have nothing new to offer.
No, they don't. And they seem to have no memory. Joe Biden, we know his amnesia is kicking in big time. He's not even aware of the fact that he's just copying Donald Trump on all of these policies. He claims to be, I'm all for Made in America. Well, that's what Donald Trump has been doing. President Trump has been doing that for the last 4 years. And the Joe Biden, meanwhile, for 47 years has been shipping our jobs overseas. He can't even remember what he has forgotten, and that's the really sad part about this. He's on there with Jake Tapper the other day saying that it's in our interest for China to prosper, and I'm going to get tough on China while I help them prosper. And it's a word salad that is inedible and incomprehensible.
But Curtis, what he has been doing is plagiarizing. I mean, it is amazing to me. This guy would have been a wonderful. We have a street in Chicago called Western Avenue. It's where every ex-con man went to cheat people to buying lemons that they sawed in half and welded together as used cars. I think Biden would have been perfect for this. And I think at 80 years old, Curtis, I don't think it's selling to the kids. What do you think?
Yeah, that's it. Look, people are very sophisticated. Over at America First Policies, where I'm the policy director over there, we have been running focus groups, and the American people are quite sophisticated when it comes to these political ads and these politicians. People are sick of the politicians. They're onto the game. That's why they rejected Hillary Clinton back in 2016 and said, let's bring in a guy who actually knows business and knows how to build things, and elected Donald Trump. They don't care how he talks or, whatever he said, or the fact that he has no experience is a plus. Joe Biden is a puppet. That's the word we heard over and over again in all of our focus groups. He's a puppet. He's being manipulated by other people behind the scenes, whether it's the radical left, the AOCs and people like that, or just some deep state cabal, some permanent government Democrat National Committee entities who we don't even know who they are. That's who's going to be running the show. And they don't buy it when Joe Biden says, I'm going to be for Made in America, or I'm going to be doing, they know he's not going to be doing anything. He'll be doing exactly what he's told. And American people are very sophisticated about this. We tested a couple of ads, right? And we showed them some ads, and they said, well, that one doesn't work. Because we know how you can, not meaning you, the America First Policies, but we know that you can edit a piece of videotape to make it look any way you want. And I want to see the whole thing. I want to see the context. So they're onto this game. They're not going to buy Joe Biden's act. They know what he's up to. They know that he's not up to anything except what he is told to do. So, yeah.
Now,
not gonna go
Curtis,
for it.
I here's the thing. I'm a fill-in host. I'm an old street
Yeah.
guy. All right, I'm a street guy. I'm an old mercantile exchange trader, and above all, I'm a capitalist. Right. So
Yeah.
here's my big problem. I don't like a lot about Trumponomics because I don't want to ever stoke up the labor extortion mafia unions. Curtis, this to me is what destroyed American manufacturing, in conjunction with working with corrupt government to create weapons of law used to avoid competition rather than stoking American ingenuity. So that's the kind of economy I want. The other thing is China, very interesting. Can't stand the communists, love those that want to be free. To me, Curtis, You don't break up communism by knocking on the door. You break it up by going through the windows and blowing the house apart. I wanted to go to Hong Kong. I wanted to go to Taiwan. I wanted to take advantage of those people and show them what liberty and freedom is, because to me, that's what American is. America is not a place to me. It's an ideal. Are we ever going to get back to guys like me, or is it just going to be these warring factions of different collectivists?
Well, America is a place and an ideal, and we remember we're number one because we're good. We're not good because we're number one, right? It's because of our ideals that we have grown wealthy. The fact that we're wealthy doesn't make us great. It's the fact that we have great ideals that allow us to become wealthy. I think we all agree on that. And that's why the Chinese have to steal ideas from us, because you can't whip people and make them think. You can't coerce minds into working. It has to come from the spirit. So we love our ideals. We love our God. We love our system, and that's the reason why we don't want to invest in China. And that's why no smart capitalist would place their money in China, because that's a system that wants to destroy our system. So why are we building up an enemy? And that's the dilemma here. Is for so long you've got, and even today, you've got Wall Street propping up this Marxist-Leninist regime with, vast investments that we're going to send our retirement savings, the retirement savings of our military personnel, were going to be invested in Chinese companies through these index funds, and that's suicidal. That's as Ayn Rand said, you can be opposed to me, but I'm not going to give you the weapon to kill me.
Right. Right, but I don't want to lump in our European trade partners. See, the problem I have is this: if you want to target countries because they're inhumane to their citizens, I'm all for it. Let's stick them on the wall. I'll start with Saudi Arabia. Then I'll go with Iran. Then I'll go with China. Then we'll go to any other third world country that uses their citizens as slaves. The problem is the American people are being whipped into this agenda where they think all trading partners are bad, and that's just not the case. In fact, you build lifelong or century-long alliances through the ebb and flow of free-moving velocity of money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, there's gradations here. We know that some of us old enough to remember in the 1980s and before how Japan had these mercantilist policies. They protected their own market, kept American products out of Japan, while they exported hand over fist to America. And to gain market share here, they would subsidize their industries and protect their home market to subsidize their exports. And but at least Japan shared some of our ideals. I mean, at least they were not this expansionist totalitarian regime. Germany seems to have no problem. Volkswagen uses slave labor in the concentration camps in Western China. They have no problem with that. For some reason, Angela Merkel doesn't see any problem with Germany doing business with a regime that runs concentration camps. I guess it's in her DNA or something, So yes, Germany is is an ally, but
no, I can't stand
we can't wait for them to lead us on this one. We better show our own leadership.
I'm not a Merkel guy. I think she's a rotten human being and a fraud. But I will say this: deficits, there's no such thing. It's just the stimulus. You just call it by a different name, right? I mean, that's just what it is. I still don't know what the hell a deficit is, because I know if I run one, it's called a bounce check. So to me, it's a stimulus that we pay for. Right?
Yeah.
When you have this idea of and that's with what we have going on in the country. When you have something called the trade deficit, help me with this, please, because to me, what this is, Curtis, is I give you this dirty paper, and you give me something I see as value. There's never a we. Even when my wife says it, I don't like it. There's no such thing as we. So the reality is I have a labor deficit with my landscaper if I give him this money and he cuts my grass. I feel it's the same way with trade. And when a bunch of smarmy politicians who are for sale start to use the word fair, I get nervous.
No, that's right. I mean, politicians, they don't know what fair means. They've never worked they've never worked an honest day's. They've never put in an honest day's work for an honest day's pay. That's how politics works. Is all about unfair and gaining an advantage. But it's like this. Look, what's happening is we're getting cheap plastic and cheap junk from China, right? Or even cheap iPhones. And what they're getting is the long-term productive capacity. They're getting the factories. They're getting the technology. They're getting the research and development centers. And what we're getting is stuff to put in our storage unit. Who's getting the better end of that deal? It's not about trade deficits. It's about exchanging productive capacity, factories, technology, know-how, the training that goes into it, training your people for what? This is like Manhattan Island being traded away for $24 worth of glass beads. I think we got the better end of that deal. And when we give away our crown jewels in technology and factories in order to get cheap plastic trinkets from China, I think they're getting the better deal. And it's our politicians, those smarmy politicians, that are getting paid off to let that happen. They're the ones that are getting the money from the Wall Street bankers and the GEs or the giant multinational corporations to look the other way while somebody's robbing the bank. And that's how it's been working.
And I agree with you, by the way, especially when it comes to China. So I want you to completely, understand my premise. My argument is this. If I have to stoke up these mafia organizations called unions, and if I have to be held hostage by these gangster governments that have legislated it to be so difficult for competition to start in the realm of manufacturing, I am actually destroying the exit door and trapping myself in this Rube Goldberg mechanism of just constant suffrage to their price protecting. I hate that. How can I have both?
Yeah. Well, this is what President Trump laid out, candidate Trump laid out, and what he's been working on ever since. The four-legged stool, the four legs of the table. You have tax cuts, regulation cuts, energy reform, and trade reform, right? We get fair trade deals, but that's not enough. You got to cut the taxes, which have been pushing companies to go offshore, as has the overregulation. Cut the regulation, make it sensible, cut the taxes so it's in line with the rest of the world. Then you've got a good basis for fair trade deals, not, hey, let's send everything to China where it's cheaper and you're not regulated and you don't have taxes. And let's get rid of this stupid idea that we're going to power everything on windmills and solar panels that are made in China, actually. It doesn't work that way. So you have energy reform, so we have energy independence. We have cheaper natural gas here than anywhere in the world. That can fuel the industrial furnaces, give us an advantage over the cheap labor in East Asia once we have our tax code and our regulations in line. And it's been working. That's how we created this great economy. And, I agree with you. You can't be, and, the unions we've seen, a lot of the unions are hopelessly corrupt. You see what happened with the United Auto Workers. They were, they were indicted. They were skimming money. They were living a high life. And they go and they endorse these creepy Democratic politicians while the rank and file members who just want an honest day's pay for an honest day's work are voting for Trump.
Yeah.
But the leadership's voting for the Democrats. I mean, this makes no sense.
Because they're for sale. Yeah, they're for sale. Curtis,
yeah, they're for sale.
Do you mind hanging on with me? I want to ask you a little bit more.
I'd be delighted to.
Thank you. We'll be back with Curtis Ellis after this.
From AM 560 to the campaign trail, Steve Cortez is on special assignment with the Trump campaign. But don't worry, he'll be back after the election right here on AM 560. The Answer.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gevalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
Your product's a great product. Seriously, I haven't been sick in over 2 years, and I just can't even tell you. It's the greatest thing that ever happened to me.
Your products are great, absolutely. General aches and pains I have because I work outside a lot, gone. It's almost magic. It's almost too good to be true, but it is. It's very true. Dr. Howard's done a fantastic service by creating this.
What I'm putting into my body is the good stuff. All the energy is shifting and changing, and my system is happy with what's coming down the pike. And it's kind of like a fun thing, and I look forward to it. It's not like, oh, no, I need to take this again. It's more like, oh, I can't wait to take this. That's a big difference.
I had total knee replacement, and it was about 10 days out after surgery. And the doctor, when I went to the visit, he said, if I didn't know that I did the surgery on that date, there's no way I'd believe you had that range of motion already. So my range of motion is ahead of where most people are at this point.
I work in healthcare, and I haven't gotten even a runny nose. I'm walking more, I'm exercising more, I'm doing more yoga. I'm pretty convinced that this is something to do with it. And you know what? I will never be without it because this was painless and easy. It's amazing. I'm telling you, it's amazing.
Get a wide variety of all your daily recommended servings of whole fruits and vegetables without having to leave your home. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or by going to balanceofnature.com. Again, that's balanceofnature.com. And make sure to receive this special radio offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
This is good. This is a happier time. Even Curtis likes this song. I know he does. Curtis, I think that Joe Biden barely has a clue of what's in his diaper, let alone his policies. But the reality is, I have never seen a more openly fascistic promise by any candidate than Joe Biden in every single policy he has. Why do you think the Democrats of 2020 are comfortable being fascists?
Because that's what they've always believed in, this government corporate combine running things. You go back to the 60s and even before, you go back to the New Deal, you go back to the progressives. The original progressivist vision was that you would have these large industrial corporations, monopolies essentially, running society. They were opposed to small businesses. They saw small business as inefficient, as rubes, parochials, racist, nativists, unsanitary, unhealthy, and it would be much better if we just used the technocrats of modern industry, mass production, and let them run everything and have the experts. We don't even need democracy anymore. We should have a permanent government of civil servants who are not beholden to any particular party, and they'll make all the decisions. That's fascism in a different color. You get rid of the black shirt, you get rid of the brown shirt, but you got the same thing of a government corporate combine. And it's big corporations, not small businesses. Everybody's just a serf working in a large bureaucracy, and it makes no difference whether it's a corporate bureaucracy and you're all middle managers or clerks, or if it's a government bureaucracy. Same difference, same attitude, same mentality, same reality of conformity and subordination to your top people who are all-knowing, all-wise. You just get in line and do what you're told.
Curtis, you just described the reaction to COVID-19. I have to tell you, Curtis, I was naive. I walked around being proud of being an American. I actually bought the whole thing, that I was represented and not ruled. And all it took was a flu to prove 248 years wrong. Can you believe the lawyers are silent on this chaos, this tyranny?
That's the most dispiriting thing. It's really, I'm sitting in New York City right now. Actually, I'm standing, but I'm in Manhattan. And you see people walking around dutifully with their masks on. We've got the lowest infection rate, one of the lowest death rates, lowest hospitalization rates in the country right here in Manhattan. And people who are standing 20 feet away from each other on the sidewalk with a stiff wind blowing still feel the need to wear their little mask. Look, I wear a mask when I go inside, fine, because, that's what they ask. And actually, no shirt, no shoes, no service. Now it says no mask, no service. So, okay, fine. I have no problem with that. But outside, use your head. There is no evidence to show that, I don't want to get into a whole thing about masks, but it's very dispiriting, as you said, about how people are so willing to comply with what they're told and just go along with it. Whether it's shut down your store, many of us expected to see a mass uprising saying, hey, excuse me, you can't tell us what to do. You don't have absolute control over everything like this. Just as the Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled today, the governor of Pennsylvania and that health director, they don't have the constitutional power to tell everybody, you can't go to work today. Sorry.
I have to tell you, Curtis, I have a couple of businesses, and one of them is a little retail business where I hide so that I can stay married. It's a wonderful little cigar store. And I did this thing once where I embarrassed my daughter. She was part of a basketball team, and the coach was crooked, making bad calls. And I said, that's it. I threw the whole game up for grabs. I said, come on, kids, let's go. And nobody came with me. She has yet to talk to me since then. That's 4 years ago. But I did the same thing when they shut my business down. I said, come on, guys, open the door. And it was at that moment I realized I can't, because really, it's not my business. It's just the government's, and they allow me to pretend it's mine. And I am having a mental breakdown realizing we're on second wave of this corona flu thing, and they're going to double down even harder. Don't you think? And if Trump loses, we're really done.
The idea that this whole thing's going to be over after Election Day is a rosy scenario, but by no means an assured one. Because once these politicians have realized how easy it is to control people through fear, they're not willing to give it up. We have Andrew Cuomo here, the governor, despite the fact that, as I said, infections down, death rate down, hospitalization down, everything low, he still doesn't want to let restaurants stay in business. And they love power and they love control. And
how many seniors?
It's
we can't even quantify correctly the amount of seniors this son of a gun is responsible for their death. He literally took the sick people and put them where the old people were. How is he not charged with a crime?
And he claims he's following the science. But even at that time that he issued that order, the science was very clear. It's old people that are most at risk, and you do not put infected people in with senior citizens, in with old people. Those are the most vulnerable. Yet it's double talk. And Joe Biden is, another one. I follow the science. Here's my theory about Joe Biden. There's an old saying about, I don't know if you ever heard the phrase, a yellow dog Democrat. Mm-hmm. Yellow dog Democrat is a Democrat who would vote for a yellow dog if the yellow dog had a D next to its name and was on the ballot. I think the Democratic National Committee is putting that to the test. They say, let's put Joe Biden on the ticket. Let's put a stiff, I don't want to call him a corpse, but let's put a functional inert object on the ballot and see if people will vote for it just because it has a D next to its name.
It'd be sad if it wasn't so dangerous. Curtis, you've been great. And for the record, I have a Florida real estate company. You keep me in mind. I'll meet you there when you run from Manhattan. I appreciate you coming in.
I will be in touch with you very shortly because I am planning on leaving.
See that? That's how you generate leads, boys and girls. Thank you. Curtis Ellis will be back after this. Thank you.
AM 560's Steve Cortez is on special assignment working on President Trump's re-election campaign. He'll be back after the election in November, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Marvelous, because I, a thespian, have been on a quest for the perfect insurance.
Sweet balcony.
I've requested no less than 13 balconies.
That's A lot.
All the world's a stage.
Well, with Liberty Mutual, thou customize and thou saveth.
That's the spirit.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty. Napa know-how.
Get all the quality parts you need at your locally owned Napa. Because right now, when you order from Napa online, you can pick up curbside at your local store in just 30 minutes. Or get your order delivered direct to your door with free one-day shipping on over 160,000 quality parts when you spend $35 or more. Quality parts delivered quickly and safely. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating stores, standard ground shipping and exclusions apply.
Is the United States of America part of God's great plan for the world? Now, a new documentary, Trump 2024, The World After Trump, takes a look at what the world could look like in 2024, with or without President Trump. Trump 2024 features interviews with Franklin Graham, Mike Huckabee, Dennis Prager, and Eric Metaxas. Watch Trump 2024, The World After Trump, on salemnow.com. Trump 2024, watch now at salemnow.com.
You're stuck at home and you're concerned about the world, and frankly, worried about your money. The market's in turmoil and your 401k is going down. Is this going to ruin your retirement? It doesn't have to. You don't have to sit by paralyzed like you did in 2008. You can take action now to help stop the losses and recover quicker. Each week, Raj Shah gives you practical tips on how to deal with times like this on Unlock Your Wealth. Sundays at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. here on AM 560, The Answer.
All right, remember those days when you could call up your insurance agent, tell them what you needed, then haggle, then pick your policy? Yeah, those are over. Now it's open enrollment. Got a big decision to make right now. Tom Marabali is your health insurance advocate and independent producer for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. What a crime family. And other major carriers. If you're 50, guess what? You're paying for maternity coverage. Why in the hell would you do that? Well, it's in the law, whether you want it or not. In Illinois, the least expensive ACA PPO health insurance plan is $570 a month with a total out-of-pocket cost of a Buick, $81.50 before your bills are paid at 100%. Tom can eliminate the mandatory maternity coverage and lower your monthly payment by 90 hoops down to $480 a month with a total out-of-pocket cost of $2,500 before your bills are 100%. That's a saving of $56.50. It's not monkeying around. For a free quote and see if you qualify, call Tom, 630-863-3477 or visit healthplanchicago.com.
It's news, opinion, and insight at the speed of your life. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app and radio.com.
Very bad and could get worse. Good evening. It's 74 degrees in Chicago at 6:30. On AM 560 The Answer, I'm Tom Beck. Evacuations are underway in parts of Mississippi and Louisiana where 2 feet of rain is expected due to Hurricane Sally, now a Category 2 storm. It could get even stronger by the time it hits the coast in the morning. On top of flooding for the rain, there is fear of an 11-foot-high wall of water storm surge. Out west, President Trump is in California this afternoon for a roundtable on that state's horrific wildfires. The president talked again about better forest management to help reduce fires. The governor said the crisis is being made much worse by climate change with its hotter temperatures. The challenger to Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx is criticizing Fox over a recent murder. Republican Pat O'Brien said Sincere Williams should never have been on the street when he allegedly stabbed a Walgreens clerk to death. O'Brien said Fox released Williams from electronic monitoring for a gun store break-in just days before the clerk's killing. Amid the pandemic, there's been another rally by students and parents who want fall sports and classroom teaching to resume. Yesterday's rally happened in McCook. A couple of weeks ago, there was a similar rally in downtown Wheaton. On AM 560, The Answer, I'm Tom Beck.
Mike Gallagher says now is not the time to rest.
As incredibly well as the Republican National Convention went, now the heavy lifting begins. Now the fight is underway. Now we got to scale the mountains. I got no easy answers, but I am going to give you a reality check. Do not get complacent. Now's where the hard work begins.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Here's the president of the Illinois Chamber of Commerce, Todd Meisch, talking about the proposed income tax hike amendment on the November state ballot.
Springfield politicians already raised income taxes twice in the last decade. This tax hike amendment would let them increase taxes by billions more whenever they want, and a blank check to spend the money however they want, with no limits and no accountability. It would trigger a huge tax increase on thousands of small business owners and give Illinois the nation's second highest tax rate on large employers. The result would be more closed businesses, more lost jobs, and even more people leaving Illinois. The tax hike amendment is a bad idea at the worst possible time. Please stand with Illinois employers and vote no.
Learn more by visiting notaxhikeamendment.com. Paid for by the Coalition to Stop the Proposed Tax Hike Amendment.
We know that sometimes it might be difficult to hear AM 560, like when you drive under that bridge, or you get too close to power lines, or when you're surrounded by gigantic concrete and steel buildings, which is why we've made it easy to listen to us whenever you want, wherever you might be. We're always streaming at 560theanswer.com and on the AM 560 mobile app. You can also get us on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and we're on TuneIn, iHeart, and Radio.com. You can listen wherever and whenever to AM 560, The Answer.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now, when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Don't miss Lowe's Just for Pros event through September 25th. Get in on innovative products from Metabo, HPT, and Spyder through virtual demos and live chats. Plus, get deals in store and on Lowe's4pros.com. U.S. only.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
On the northbound side of the tri-state, the exit ramp to Willow Road is blocked. That's due to a car fire. Kennedy outbound 10 to the split, 8 in the express, 22 on out to the airport. Back inbound from the airport at 24, 13 of that off the junction. Eisenhower outbound, stop and go from Keeler out to Des Plaines Avenue. Circle on out to 390 and 35. Inbound hefty from Ashland back into the Burn. 390 back into the circle at 33. Now on the northbound side of I-55, all lanes have been reopened between Gardner Road and Reed Road after an earlier rolled over semi-crash. Stevenson outbound, sluggish from Ashland to Kedzie. Lakeshore Drive on out to 355 and 32. Now the inbound Dan Ryan, little snug there right around Roosevelt Road with Roderick in the right lane. That's traffic. I'm Mary DeBadges on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Overnight, we'll see clear skies, low 58. Tuesday, sunny much of the time. It will be pleasantly warm with a high of 80. Tuesday night, clear skies, low 60. Wednesday, mostly sunny, very warm. Wednesday will reach a high of 83. I'm Drew Shannon on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Get Down to Business with Shalom Klein, the show for business powered by Mirabali Insurance. Sunday evenings at 6 on AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer.
It's very late 80s, early 90s in here. Trying to tell me I'm old. I hear you. And speaking of me being old, I got to tell you something that's been about, as you can see, sometimes I feel bad. The kids in there, they're young. They don't understand what I've seen, what you've seen. They don't get how disgusted I am with these two-faced, half-derriered mafia Democrats. They don't get it yet because they haven't witnessed everything there is to witness about what we've seen about the people that make up the Chicago Democrat mafia. So when they prance around and they say, Pritzker's a Democrat, these are just mafia figures and they use that party as a shield. And to me, it's a dirty word. Democrat is a 4-letter word. There's no question about it. But I have to tell you, I'm the worst at this self-promotion. So during the commercial break, I take the YouTube video, which you can find on the AM 560 YouTube channel, and I put it on the Sean from Elmwood Park Facebook page, where I was asked a while ago to do a commercial for Jeannie Ives. And I love Jeannie because I met her years ago. long time ago, there was a gun store in Elmwood Park where I live. And there was an event. I went there. This got to be 10 years ago. And I met her, and I instantly liked her, really not knowing her political policies, just because of the kind of person she is. She's a mother of, I have 5 kids. I think she's got 5 kids. I mean, to me, that's a saint. I got 2, and I'm hanging on by a thread, I'll tell you the truth. And, so anybody that could raise 5 kids, you have to have a certain amount of respect for. And she's, an ex-military person, and she's got this husband, and they're together, and just a wonderful person. I didn't know one thing about her policies politically, just liked her. And through the years, I've obviously kept in touch for her. And when she went against Bruce Rauner, if you listen to the radio, and the reason I'm here is I used to call in, I spotted that 7 foot of stupid from the time he was running. Fraud that he is, that he was, that he will always be. That's what Bruce Rauner is. And I never liked those scumbag Republicans. I never liked them. Where they were lobbyists on the side, then they were Republicans. They were selling us out. Because what happened to us here in Illinois, this is not overnight, baby. This is 60 years of that nonsense. So the Bradys of the world, I can't stomach them. Never could. But I was also, I have to tell you, going back to Jeannie Ives, I like her as a woman, as a person, as a mother. I got a lot of respect for her, right? As I do even some people I don't agree with philosophically. I could think of 5 in my wife's family. I married primarily into a Democrat family. Politically, I don't agree with them on one thing. But as women, I respect them. I've watched them be mothers. And it takes a lot to be a parent, mother or a father. So as I helped Jeannie with this, I got an email sent to me by one of her people. Do you know that on her signs in the suburbs, they spray painted the "See you next Tuesday" word on there? And I'm going to tell you something right now. My mother raised me, grandmother, I was always around women. That was never a word that would ever be spoken. If it was even on TV, somebody would get slapped. That was a word that, I'm old, man. If you said the female dog in front of a woman, you got knocked out, especially Melrose Park. Strangers grab you by the hair, punch you right in the face. These scumbag Democrats, these Sean Casten people, are spraying that on signs. Do you know what got me so mad, kid? You know what I did Saturday night? Like a lunatic. I took a box of cigars. I put it in my car. I'm driving around Wheaton. I'm the only one. Wheaton, that's an awful pasty town, kids. There's nobody on the road. I'm driving around looking for somebody degrading a sign. And I'm thinking about the kind of character that it takes to write that on a sign. I remember there was a crackpot Republican years ago, and him and his guys took signs off. He was running for something. I can't remember. And it was a big scandal. It was all over the news. Every news station had these Republicans stole signs and threw them in the trunk. And the guy lost the race because he stole the sign. What do you think is more offensive? Stealing a sign or writing the "See you next Tuesday" on the sign? Are you out of your mind? When I was a kid, even if you didn't like somebody, you would never say that about a woman. And this is the party of the woman, of the Me Too, of the equality. Why, you two-faced dog rats. And all you Democrat women out there, let me tell you a little secret. Behind closed doors in the room, they think the same thing of you when you disagree with them. That's the contempt they have for you, because only somebody with that contempt could possibly write that on the sign. And you know what I was thinking about? These smarmy Republicans like that half-man Brady with his squirrel hands, little half-man country club sissy that he is. He laughs at that kind of stuff. Him and his moron lobbyist friends, as they've bastardized this entire state, an entire party. And these are the kind of characters that do things like that. Well, I'll tell you what, win, lose, or draw, I catch you. Let me tell you something. I got the bond money in my pocket. You're going to Melrose Park the 70s again. You say that about a woman, I don't care what her politics is. You're a disgusting scumbag lowlife. That goes for every Casten supporter who sits there on his hands as this goes on and shuts up. Because you know another thing he did this month? He got caught homesteading his little Washington property. Because his daddy didn't leave him enough money. This queen for it. He's an heiress to a green fortune. That's all he is. Never worked a day in his life. And still, Mr. Raise Your Taxes. Why do they always cheat on their own? You ever wonder that? Pritzker with the toilets. He's got billions of dollars. You still going to cheat on the taxes? What a despicable party. What a despicable group of people. 312-642-5600.
In the final 100 days before the election, President Trump knew it was time to call in the closer to seal a victory. And the man he called was AM 560's Steve Cortez.
There is nobody that loves this country more than Steve Cortez. Steve.
Steve will return to the air after the election, right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now, when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
This is Sebastian Gorka. I know you know the deep state has been plotting to destroy Donald Trump. Now, read all the details in a new book by my good friend Matthew Whitaker, the former acting attorney general. It's called Above the Law. Read it and learn how Obamagate led to an unprecedented attempt to take down a duly elected president. Above the Law by Matthew Whitaker. It's a must-read this summer. Above the Law is available everywhere books are sold.
Friends, it's Steve Cortez here. Let's talk about mortgages and the housing market. The housing market has been an incredible bright spot within the economic recovery of recent months as our country begins to rebuild, quite literally in the case of home construction, and rebuild overall in terms of our economic renaissance from the ravages of the coronavirus. It seems quite clear that the housing sector is one of the leading drivers of that recovery. A lot of incredible data lately, including in July, the biggest month for existing home sales ever. And that's on the back of, in June, one of the biggest housing starts months ever. If you are in the mortgage market right now, I suggest you go to UnitedFaithMortgage.com. They are wonderful people, family-run operation. They're a direct lender, which means often you can get your loan processed faster and sometimes at a better rate. UnitedFaithMortgage.com.
United Mortgage Corp, Melville, New York. NMLS number 1330. Ryan Vrecka, NMLS number 65233. For all licensing information, go to NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Famous conservative quotes presented by Automated Systems.
Winston Churchill once remarked, "The best argument against democracy is a 5-minute conversation with the average voter." Ponder that for a moment.
Manufacturing companies, I encourage you to call my friend Laz Kulchar from Automated Systems. Automated Systems is a software and systems integration company that specializes in companies that are required to meet FDA compliance requirements. Automated Systems will create a custom solution for your business that will make your production lines, facilities, and plants run more efficiently. Imagine less downtime, more speed, and fewer rejects. From Fortune 500 to startup, ASI delivers solutions for your toughest automation challenges. For information, I encourage you to talk to Laz at Automated Systems. Call 844-HIRE-ASI or visit hireasi.com. That's 844-HIRE-ASI, 844-HIRE-ASI, or online at hireasi.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Misty's going to be so mad I had her cut all those clips. No, but listen, I'm doing the audience a favor, baby. You want to hear that whiny, half-man Pritzker? You could almost hear the breadcrumbs in his cheeks as he's speaking to you. He's worried about our health. Oh, really? What, do you got circus mirrors in your house, fatso? I'm sorry, I got to just speak my mind. You know what I mean? I don't like these people. You're worried about me? You're not worried about me. You just like the power over me. You could give a rip if I wake up or don't wake up, any more than I give a rip if you do. Let's be fair. It's the beauty of being Americans. I tell you about the woman that yelled at me for the mask in there? I tell you what happened? I didn't have the mask. I actually had it in my pocket, but I was, stumbling around. Little short woman. Just mean. You could see her husband's probably trying to figure out how to hang himself with an extension cord. Just yelling at me about the mask. I told her, if the idea that something in my body could harm you, it almost excites me. You know what I mean? All right, let's go to the phone lines. Poor Misty's mad I didn't use the clips. Bart, how are you, Bart?
Hey, Daddy-O. Hey, how about that party of women, huh? Hashtag me too.
You've got hypocrites.
I've got a daughter. I've got a wife. I got a mom. You use that word? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
What have we descended to?
You know, you'd think that the people that have supported this for years would finally wake up. You know, I laughed too, Bart, when they said the thing about the cannabis. I watched all these people get all excited like they were going to get a dispensary. I watched all these neighborhoods. Yeah, we'll get a dispensary. We're going to make money. It'll be great for the community. And they didn't get a one. All gangstered up.
Or not just that, Sean, about the idea that, boy, you know what, the problem around here? People just aren't high enough. We need some weed. That'll make things better. That will reinstate the families and these minority. I'm Mexican American. Lack of dads is a lot of the problem, dude, and just lack of accountability.
Here's the problem, Bart. I got to tell you something, Bart. I didn't have a dad. It was the greatest thing in the world for me. Thank you very much for calling. I do appreciate it. But that's why I have an issue. It's the beauty of life is it's extremely individual. But the thing about this party politics, it doesn't matter how many times they're insulted. The Democrats don't seem to get insulted. They could tell them, look, you know what's going to help us? Not you getting jobs, us selling drugs through you. Oh, that sounds like a good idea. You know what'll help you is if we put in these gaming areas into your neighborhood. It'll save your neighborhood. Oh, okay. And then this idea, we know what's fair. Well, what's fair? Here, we've decided that as a race, you people can't compete with the other race, so we're going to give you extra points on different things from tests to job. Oh, okay. At what point do you get insulted? Now this whole thing, women, equality now, it's all about the woman. What happens when the first woman they come across that disagrees with them? What is she? The worst word in the human language. And you just take it. You just take it. Not me. I ain't going to take it. Tom, Cherville.
Yes, Sean, the woman who gave you a hard time about not wearing a mask. Let me guess. She was 300 pounds, wore a Hawaiian shirt, had earth shoes, and looked like Steve Dahl.
No, but I used to see Steve Dahl eating pancakes. I would have recognized him. This woman had more facial hair, so I'm guessing she's probably part of my lineage. I'm thinking she was an old Italian woman.
Ah, okay. Well, I had somebody giving me a hard time about a mask a few months ago, and it was a woman. She was extremely overweight. She was wearing earth shoes and had a thicker mustache than me.
Yeah, the earth shoes are always a tip-off. If you really cared about yourself, you wouldn't wear earth shoes. Thank you so much, Tom. But the whole idea is, listen, I don't care how many times they try to sell it to you. I don't care what the policy is. You remember this. You're not enslaved to another human being. We're Americans, damn it. You're not enslaved to anybody else. You're not responsible for anybody else's life, for their health care, for their kids, for their health. None of it. You're not responsible for it. You have the right to your life, or do you? Because the one thing that's very clear, the modern-day Democrat, you don't have the right to your life, not in any case. You just tell them what the situation is, and they're going to tell you how to act. But the one thing they're never going to tell you is what you have a right to. All you have a right to is to be their slave. Listen to the policies. Read them. Do you know how many people who support Joe Biden's presidency has never read a policy? Not one. They cannot tell you one. And all they do is have this emotion and this hatred. Because do you know what else? They're going to sell you this phony virtue that they don't possess. And at every corner, they prove themselves to be what I said they are. Rats. Two-faced scumbag liars like Sean Casten, Daddy's Little Green Energy Company. Where would you be without it? Nowhere. Be checking my bags at the airport. No offense to you baggers out there. We'll be back tomorrow.